Good evening, farmers and aspiring farmers. Welcome to yet another episode of Farm Drive here on our Farmers Media. This is a platform where we connect, learn, and grow. And today we have a very hot topic. So make sure you don't click on the dial. And I have a great colleague of mine with me.
Good evening. My name is Dochine Kinyi, and welcome to Farm Drive. And we are happy to have you here with us, back fresh and in good health. And as we promised yesterday, today same time, same place. And yesterday was agroforestry. Today is another interesting topic of soil management. And in soil management, before I even continue, don't forget to check our social media handles. That is, and also before I start, I think I need to ask my fellow here. Hey, how was your day? Like, how is everything going on?
How was your day? It's been so cold in Kajiado. Actually, it's so cold
Yeah,
in
the weather is
Kajiado.
not
We are
quite
freezing.
true.
You may tell us how is the weather condition where you are?
Mm-hmm.
How are the climatic conditions?
Yeah,
Is it
and
weather or what is the difference between weather and climate?
I think that will also depend on what our viewers will think about that. And we are really grateful to having you here with us. And by the way, guys, the climate condition that we are undergoing right now, it's very cold. It's very cold with no rain in Kajiado, guys. It's so dry, but it's cold. But we are very grateful. We thank God. And in the coming days, the research says that El Nino is on the way, and be of watch. And even as we continue into soil management, we are going to look at the policies of soil, policy and legal frameworks, importance of soil, challenges that farmers face in agricultural soil management in Kenya, soil health, soil fertility, agroforestry again, which is relating with the topic that we are going to discuss today, as well as climate change and variability impacts, and the national and the county government. That is all we are going to tell you about soil management. So I'll just pass it back to my fellow here to at least tell us something about policy and legal framework.
But before we begin, I think I can share some 2 cents on the difference between weather and climate.
Yeah, true.
Okay, weather is for short term, like now. It's cold.
No.
We're feeling cold, but tomorrow it may be sunny. But climatic changes as things that happen in the long run. Okay, these are my 2 cents. So our viewer, may you please share with us what you think is the difference between weather and climate. Yeah. So as we continue, we're going to begin with policy and framework of soil management in general. Yeah. So there are many sectors with mandate and natural resource management, soil being one of such a resource. Okay, some of the policies include in the Constitution of Kenya, Constitution of Kenya, in the oversearching of law that governs natural resources in Kenya, Chapter 5 of the Constitution deals with land use and land tenure. In it are various articles that are relevant to soil fertility. For example, in Article 60 requires that both all land, private, public, and community be held, used, and managed in a manner that is equitable, efficient, productive, and sustainable. And by the way, our viewer, we are all doing this research together because this is a show where we have come to learn together.
Yes, and it's connect, learn, and grow, and together we are moving forward. No one is being left behind. So stay tuned and don't touch that dial as you move on.
Yeah. And remember to also follow us on our social media handles. We are at Farmers Media on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and right now we are live on YouTube and Facebook.
Thank you.
So as I continue, Article 60 requires that both land, private, public, and community be held, used, and managed in a manner that is equitable, efficient, productive, and sustainable, and in accordance with a set of principles including security of land rights. I hope we are noting some things down because these are points that we need to have.
Of course, and I think I should also be taking notes because I need to actually know that soil is also required to have some policies and legal frameworks.
See, OK 2010 provides for working to achieve and maintain a tree cover for at least per 10% of the land area of Kenya, encouraging public participation in the management, protection and conservation of the environment, protecting genetic resources and biological diversity, establishing systems of environmental impact assessment, environmental audits and monitoring of the environment, elimination of processes and activities that are likely to endanger the environment, and utilizing the environment's natural resources for the benefits of people of Kenya. Okay, before we continue, I'd like us to have a brainstorm of some of the activities that may endanger our environment as at now.
True.
Yeah. So, okay, how may I put it? Like deforestation. Yeah, that is, I think, in relation to agroforestry, the topic that we spoke about yesterday. There's burning of what is it called?
Burning of trees.
Burning of
forest, the natural forest.
Yeah, and I also see some farmers, like when you have a maize farm, the maize stovers after harvesting of the maize. Okay, I don't know if all farmers don't know that these maize stovers can be used as mulch, because in some farms, I always see them burning.
Oh yeah, but they have seen that too.
And I think that what is it called?
The smoke that
comes. The smoke that comes out of it. It has what is it? Is it carbon?
Carbon dioxide, right?
Yeah, it's carbon dioxide, and that will in turn affect the climatic conditions of the entire environment.
And I think that may even lead us to talking more of global warming in the next maybe topic that you're going to handle in the near future.
Yeah. So as we continue,
and before you continue, I just saw somewhere that there are ways whereby the constitution tries to see how land can be protected, and we find that we have burning of the bushes or something, property, and practices related to land and property in land, and the security of land rights. Can you just try to at least explain to us the kind of things that may lead to maybe an action being taken when somebody breaks the law, whatever that may lead into somebody not managing soil or something of the sort?
First of all, the first thing that comes into my mind is lack of awareness.
Lack of awareness.
Because most of us, even me as a farmer, we always concentrate on what am I going to put on this soil so as to make it productive or to improve the fertility. But I'm not considering the soil itself. Like, you're not considering how you are going to, for example, let's talk about crop rotation, conservation, tillage. Those things don't come into my mind first, because right now most of us just think about chemical.
Yeah, true. And the next question I was going to ask you was, in as much as you're trying to look at the type of crops or whatever we want to put in our farms, or whatever farm practices we need to undertake, we need to first manage our soil, conserve our soil, and at least know how rich our soil is, and whatever crop that can grow from what we have. So we have here soil management, which encompasses a number of strategies, and it's used by farmers and ranchers to protect soil resources. So the first legal policy is actually the Constitution of Kenya. Act 2010.
The next, but okay, let me just brush through it so that we can get a grasp of what it talks about. For our viewer who doesn't know, for our viewer who doesn't have it, you can just get it from us so that you can pinpoint the notes that you may be needing. Public land is defined to include all minerals and mineral oils as defined by the law. Article 69, of the Constitution bestows on the state the responsibility to ensure sustainable exploitation, utilization and management and conservation of the environment and natural resources, and ensure the equitable sharing of the accruing benefits. The state is required to utilize the environment and national resources for the benefit of the people of Kenya. So does this mean that the state is required to utilize the environment and natural resources for the benefit
of the people? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think what it's trying to actually say is that the state should make the land that we have into something that will help the citizens in return. Not like they should be owning it and not giving back to. It's like just giving back to the society, like giving the people the opportunity to maybe grow crops in them, or maybe if it's an whatever, you see the what, sorry, like for example, being given the opportunity, giving people the opportunity to at least use the land to create something out of it.
But is that really happening? Are you seeing it happening? Okay, or you must just have some money.
I don't know, but it's a vital topic. It's really a crucial topic that we cannot really discuss and get an answer from ourselves. Maybe if our listeners and viewers may also think about it and share their views and suggestions on our comment section. That is, and even as we continue,
we're going on to the next policy. The next policy is Kenya Vision 2030. Kenya's long-term development strategy is articulated in Vision 2030. The document emphasizes sustainable agricultural growth as a critical element in poverty reduction and addressing inequalities. Yeah, now that's where we can talk about gender equality.
Yeah, gender inequality.
Or is it equality or equity? Because I feel like equity is fairness. Like you give the males the same opportunities that you give the women. But now equality, okay, I don't know how to
I think
they
just go hand in hand.
Yeah.
There's no such a big difference in it if I look into it, because they just state the same thing. And guys, I don't know, but would you really know how land use can lead to gender inequality, or maybe gender based? Yeah.
But I think that goes way back to our forefathers. You know, in the olden days, only men were given land.
Oh yeah, true. And I think it still happens.
Oh.
Yeah, it still happens.
Okay,
it's always when a lady is married, wherever she's going is where she gets the land. And the land that remains in your family is for the men.
Okay, let me tell you something. You know, I come from a family of 6 girls.
Oh.
And my dad, he has distributed land for us. So okay, that wasn't in my mind because it's not something that.
So like you don't have men in your.
We only have one boy, and now he's the owner of the big house. But they had 2 lands. Yeah, so they gave the other one to us. So that's the inequality in.
Yeah, it's true. It happens.
Yeah, but it used to happen, and it still happens.
But I don't know if we should still stay back and hold back into things that have passed in time.
Yeah,
because tradition. I think if maybe even a woman is given a land, I mean, come on, there are a lot of things you can do with it, and land is cannot depreciate. Yeah.
And first of all, like women are the leading champion of agriculture. Actually, smallholder farmers, you will find 95% of them are women, and yet, okay, this is not a platform for promoting, for championing for gender equality, but that is something that should be looked into.
Yeah. True.
So the last sentence, it recognizes the importance of soil fertility in enhancing agricultural activity, productivity for driving economic growth. Yeah, I think we have explained that. So let's go to the next policy. Okay. Sessional Paper 1 of 2017. NLUP. NLUP is the National Land Use Policy. It aims to guide Kenya towards a sustainable, equitable use of land. Yeah. The policy calls for immediate action to addressing environmental problems that affect land, such as degradation, soil erosion, and pollution. And by the way, speaking of ways of using land properly, there are so many lands that have been left just to dry out, and people don't really use them because their owners can't be traced, and most of them you find that are government lands.
and some of them looking back into the old days and land that were taken away from our ancestors by the government.
Yeah.
And so you wonder, why should we leave land bare when we have the opportunity, we have everything that it takes to use the land and to create something better out of it? It doesn't really make sense.
Whether the economic situation of the country,
Exactly.
I think we should be utilizing these lands. The government should just distribute these lands to people, or just lease.
Yeah.
They can just lease the land. You do whatever you want. You plant whatever crop you want to plant. When the season ends, you can either renew your lease, or
true.
when they want to take it back. Now at least we have generated income. Even them, they will get their taxes.
True.
Yeah, from that. Going on, the policy, we are still on the sessional paper 1 of 2017 on national land use policy.
Yeah.
The policy stipulates the principle of conservation and management of land based on natural resources. The principle of protection and management of fragile and critical ecosystem, including wetlands and arid lands. The policy does not address itself to many thematic areas of agricultural soil management, such as soil fertility, biodiversity, salinization, and agroforestry. Actually, reading about salinization, I remember there's a time I had a guest here and I didn't know the meaning of salinization. So I asked, so let me just explain to my viewer what salinization means. It is the amount of salt that is
in the soil.
In the soil or in water. Yeah. So that's the meaning of salinization. I feel proud saying it today because
that you also learned something from what you wanted. You are interviewing your guest about, and that is very nice.
Yeah. Could you take us through national agriculture, or I just go on?
No, I just finished the policies.
Okay. National Agriculture Policy of 2019. The National Agriculture Policy 2019 provides a framework for sustainable development of the agricultural sector based on requirements of the Constitution of Kenya and the Kenya Vision 2030, Millennium Development Goals, and other national, regional, and international development goals in agriculture. Some of the proposed policy statements in NAP, that is National Agriculture Policy, have a direct bearing on soil management. For instance, the policy proposes the promotion of organic farming for sustainable crop production and promote research in utilization of land resource for crops, livestock, and fisheries production. Okay, by the way, agriculture is not only for crops and livestock. Yeah, it's aquaculture, forestry, all those fall under agriculture. However, since it is an overreaching policy in agriculture sector, it does not exhaustively address soil management matters in sufficient depth. Yeah.
So in as much as even we are continuing to look at what is soil management and how can we conserve our soil, we find that soil is very important because it is a habitat for some insects, some animals. From soil we get crops. Soil is the reason why people get income, because from the soil we get to plant crops. We get to create something out of it, from nothing to something by just throwing seeds inside, and it grows to bring a lot. It gives people income, job creations. In as much as you just look at it as just soil, just remember that soil is very important. But if you think out of the box, it's going to show you the real meaning of what it is. So
going on to that's a good explanation. I was still internalizing it.
Thank you.
Going on to National Environmental Policy 2013. Sorry. The National Environmental Policy sets out important provisions relating to the management of ecosystem services, and sustainable use of natural resources. The National Environmental Policy 2013 advocates for the following on soils: development and implementation of a national soil conservation policy, promotion and support of eco and organic farming so as to maintain soil fertility.
Also, they are trying to like do away with the other types of fertilizers that may lead to harming the soil.
Yeah. When when you use organic, okay, things like compost heap, compost manure.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, those they add nutrients to the soil.
Yeah, more nutrients actually.
Yeah. Promotion of good soil management practices and empowering the communities in soil conservation. Okay, the key policy statements emanating from the National Environmental Policy and those that have direct bearing on sustainable soil management include the government of Kenya pledged at least 10% as required under the constitution. Actually, policies are all in the constitution.
Of course, yeah.
So we are basically talking about
the constitution. Yeah, and from that you can see that we have a lot of policies and regulations and legal frameworks to that governs soil management and conservation, like the National Agricultural Policy. We have the Kenyan Constitution, the Vision 2030, the National Irrigation, and even the National Land Reclamation Policy. And the Land Reclamation Policy, this is whereby the policy states that they have to restore land that has been destroyed or maybe misused and being rehabilitated, and remedial practices to be done. And this is to also help get more land for people who cannot acquire land. Maybe after managing the soil from that land, people get the opportunity to at least start something from there.
Yeah. Okay, so you've just gone through the entire draft national land reclamation policy in one explanation, but I can just take us through it. The policy focus. This is the draft national land reclamation policy 2013. This policy focuses on protection, management, and restoration of degraded lands as threats to land resources. It integrates reclamation, what you've been talking about, rehabilitation, restoration, and remedial practices. This is a very important policy with regard to agricultural soil management, and it has not addressed the issues of soil salinity, soil biodiversity, and fertilizers. I think these policies they are put in a way that when one addresses something, the other one might lack that information, but it's still on the other one.
True.
Yeah, are you getting?
They are all in like they correlate.
Yeah, they correlate.
Go together. Even the policies, I think they just work hand in hand. Because looking at the reasons for the national irrigation policy and the national reclamation and the constitution of Kenya, I think everything that you just said up there are just everything that have been stated even in the other policies.
So we're just keeping you on the loop.
Of course.
National Food and Nutrition Security Policy of 2011. The 2011 Food and Nutrition Security Policy, FNSP, you can just put it as such so that when you want to learn more about it, you can just Google. Provides an overarching framework covering the multiple dimensions of food security and nutrition improvement. It has been purposefully developed to add value and create synergy to existing sectoral and other initiatives of the government and partners. It recognizes the need for public and private sector involvement, and that hunger, eradication, and nutrition improvement is a shared responsibility of all Kenyans. Yeah, I think you might have something on that. Hunger, the last bit, hunger eradication and nutrition improvement is a shared responsibility, because I feel like you are an advocate for the socio-economic.
But I still think everything will just like whatever we are discussing under policy, everything that I'm just hearing you talk of right now, it's just all about trying to use land appropriately, trying to maintain our land properly so that we cannot lose the fertility, or maybe not get where we can grow our crops,
improve the quality of soil.
improve the quality of soil. And even as soil provides a home for animals, the animals themselves also add nutrients to the soil.
Yeah,
exactly.
And they also provide the plants with those nutrients so that
course.
we can thrive in agriculture. Okay, the objective is to increase the quantity and quality of food available and accessible in order to ensure that all Kenyans have an adequate, diverse, and healthy diet. This will be achieved by working towards sustainable production, increases for food that is diversified, affordable, and helps meet the basic nutrition requirements. The National Agricultural Sector Extension Policy of 2012. The National Agricultural Sector, it sets policy for agricultural extension and promotion and diffusion of technologies for land management. Observed strength of NASEP in promoting sustainable land management include recognition that land is an important resource in agricultural development. Thus, soil and water conservation is given priority. Actually, without soil and water, soil and water are the basis, the first things, because even if you're doing organic farming, you have to consider soil first.
Of course.
And you have to consider the
type of soil too.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, the type. Yeah, there are various types of soil.
The type of soil really matter because you can't tell me that you're going to plant your crop on a clay soil. It doesn't make sense because clay does not give does not really allow water to get penetrate to penetrate so easily. So it will be really difficult for that to happen.
And sun might also be too loose for some crops.
Too loose for some crops.
Yeah.
Because it allows more water inside. So it's basically not too good for growing crops.
So I think we will advise that maybe when you want to plant something, those are the factors you should be considering, like soil type. So that you can even contact an extension officer to come and advise you on the plants that can grow there, on how to utilize that soil to make it worthwhile.
So I know that there are so many policies, and I think that is just enough for now.
Yes,
and
there are a lot.
Yeah, even as we continue, with me here, I have by practicing soil conservation, including appropriate soil preparation methods, they reduce soil erosion and increase soil stabilization. And guys, soil erosion is not something that is really pleasing, because soil erosion, after soil has been eroded away, that is like taking everything away from us, because we don't have anywhere we can grow our crops. And even as I continue, in as much as we are looking at soil management, we have under soil management the soil texture, the fertility, the structure of the soil, the organic matter, and soil conservation. So talking about soil texture, I think I remember while back in high school we could say the smoothness or the
roughness of the soil.
Exactly.
So soil texture, I think it's just when we talk about clay, it has soft. It's soft and tender, and clay soil is always used for molding.
Yeah, right? True.
And the sand was the roughest.
Yeah.
And it's highly penetrable. It was clay, loamy, sandy, and which one? There were 4.
No, there used to be 3.
There used to be 3.
There used to be
I'm inventing another. Yesterday we said you can create your own reality.
Of course you can. You can create your own reality. That is true. But I think the major ones are 3.
Sandy,
clay, and loamy. Loamy soil. And even as we continue, we have climate change and soil, and the climate change has really affected the soil, whereby extreme weather has led to more drought as well as more flooding. Rising sea levels can carry contaminants like salt into soil, and as well as cause erosion. That is, while the battle against a shifting climate presents challenge enough on its own, modern agriculture is degrading the planet's soil at an accelerated rate, due to practices like intensive plowing and excessive use of fertilizers, pesticides, and other chemicals. Nearly half the world's topsoil, soil with the highest concentration of organic matter. So we are looking, while talking about this, it is really sad to see that we are really using a lot of fertilizers instead of using organic manure, and it's really affecting the pH of the soil, right?
Yeah.
It also affects that one, right?
Uh-huh.
And we also realize that the pesticides that and the chemicals that we use is really destroying our soil that we are supposed to depend on, and that is not something good. Yeah. And even as we continue, we want to look at why is soil so important
Yeah.
before
So
we even look at any research or whatever. Why do you think soil is so important?
okay. First of all, soil is a habitat
Yeah.
for other
Yeah. True.
it's a home for microbial for microbial organisms. Yeah, it's also a home for us because we build our houses on soil. Yeah, that might be so not agriculture.
Sure, and
so
of course,
agriculture.
there are so many microorganisms that live in the soil, more than even people in the world.
Yeah.
A lot, a lot of insects, the ants, and all that live under the soil so much. And we also have soil provides a host that is of crucial services for both people and the planet. It puts food on the table.
Yeah.
On our plates, purifies our water with I didn't even know that, protects us against flooding and combats drought. It's also key to tackling climate change as it captures and stores vast amounts of carbon. You see, when they say it prevents us from flooding, that is where we look at how compatible your soil is, how intact your soil is. So even if you're trying to manage soil, the first thing you should look at is the type of soil. That is what we said earlier. And by looking into the type of soil, I think you get to know, is this place really good for my farming practices or whatever activities I'm going to carry with this on this land of mine? Is it able to withhold or withstand whatever if it's floods or maybe drought? Is it able to still hold nutrients in it? So that is very important. And we just saw that it also puts food on our plates. Just like I said, thinking out of the box, it comes from soil, just dropping seeds, dropping seeds, nutrients there, and it starts the crops, the seeds grows into crops. And from crops we get harvest. We get to harvest, and whatever we harvest is what feeds us and gives us income, has given people job opportunities. The industries that we have now, why do you think we have the industries? Because the people looked at, maybe for example, let's have maize. Long time ago, I heard stories from my grandma that they could check maize. There was this stone that was kind of slanting like this. Then there was exactly. Then there was another stone. Then they could grind it like this until it was so soft and so fine. And I don't know how place. For real.
I don't know. I don't know if it comes from the same place, but it was the same thing that I was told to.
I think it's just an African tradition, and they could crush the maize until it became so fine. And nowadays, I see we even go when processing the maize into flour. We even have grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, where you find that there's grade 1, the softest. And there's grade 2, which is a bit soft. Then grade 3, I don't know, is grade 3 the one that is given to the chicken to eat or what? I've never understood that anyway. But that is that. So while I was talking about how it has created job opportunities for people, long time ago people could crush it on their houses, maybe out of their huts. And some time back, I went to visit my great grandma, and I saw the stone still outside beside the house. So I was like, interesting, what is this? And she was like, this is what they used to crush maize with. And it really worked.
Yeah,
It really worked.
Yeah.
Now there is a lot of change in times, and we've adopted so much from the Western until at least we see it has also made work more easier, because there's coming in of the industries, the
Yes.
factories, whereby nowadays you can just go to the posho mill and get the flour. Yeah, so at least you say that it's good, because it's created a job for so many people, and people are getting income out of it.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
that's it's very interesting. And viewer, keep on keeping with us. This is a platform where we connect, learn, and grow. And my colleague here has points, so don't click the dial. We'll be right back shortly.
Have you felt that the climate has been changing? Perhaps the dry season seems hotter. The rains are too late, or too early, too little, or don't come at all.
You're seeing more pests and diseases on your shamba. All of this can lead to less yields.
By managing your water and soil, you can ensure that your shamba is still productive. This could be as simple as harvesting water from your roofs, investing in solar irrigation, and practicing conservation agriculture such as mulching, crop rotation, and minimum tillage.
Trees are also a part of smart farming and can help you make your farm cooler, keep your soils intact and healthy. Planting fodder crops and turning grasses into hay or silage is another smart way of adapting.
But be aware that even with smart farming, some things will remain out of your control. That's why it's a good idea to think about insurance, as this can cover you from these unforeseen events.
Good soil and water management, along with planting trees and pest and disease control, can also help you increase your yields and income as the climate changes. The heart of any shamba lies in its soil. Because soil is so precious, it needs to be managed really carefully. A good place to start is with a soil test. This will tell you how healthy your soil is, its pH levels, what type of soil it is, which crops you can grow in your soil, and advice on which fertilizer is best to use. If you follow the soil test recommendations, it can boost your yields. So, how do you take a soil test sample? Firstly, dig up soil samples. Use a soil auger or panga to take a sample 1 feet deep in a zigzag pattern across your shamba. You will need at least 10 samples. Mix all the different samples together in a bucket. The soil is now ready to be scanned and tested. You can find out about how to get your soil tested by contacting your extension officer. Alternatively, contact a Ministry of Agriculture research station near you. A soil test costs about as much as 1 bag of maize. You should do a soil test at least every 3 to 5 years.
Okay, in a way that maybe.
Welcome back to the show. When we left, my colleague was talking about the challenges. Was it the challenges or the importance of soil management?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can continue with that.
Anyway, so I was just talking about the old posho mills that our grandparents used to use to crush the maize and use it to prepare maybe ugali, uji, yeah, and all that. And of which, if you look at our old parents, our grandparents, that is to say, they were so healthy when using that. But right now that the technology has really gone up, it's really funny that if you try using the stones right now, my God, you're going to get sick.
No, you won't get sick if you exercise daily.
No. It's not about exercising daily.
Being
it's about
fit.
looking at also your health. No, no, you didn't really get my point.
Yeah.
All my god. But anyway, let's continue. That
No,
is
you
that.
you can just rephrase it so that
Yeah, okay, whatever I was saying is our old parents, while using the old posho mills, the stones, the big stones that slanted like this, and the other small ones that they could exactly. They didn't get sick after eating that. Excuse me.
Oh, it's about
after
the
eating
eating.
that. Exactly.
Oh.
So right now that the technology has really improved, I'm trying to imagine if we try using the stones today, just getting a stone in, as much as okay, you're going to wash it, there are definitely germs from there. And so I tend to imagine, I'm sure we'll get sick.
Or germs have decided to thrive in our environment.
Exactly. And that also takes me back to me. At some point I used to say, okay, sorry to say, maybe mad people outside, those who work maybe in the market, they
the
eat
mentally
dirty.
impaired.
Mentally, sorry to say that, my apologies. The mentally impaired that are not really being taken care of. They walk, they eat dirty things, they drink dirty water, and I'm like, if a normal person dares to do this, they will die.
But I think also the body finds a way to adapt.
I think so.
Because when you're used to eating, okay, somebody who's not used to eating eggs, but they eat eggs, but they are not used to eating eggs, or they don't like. Am I making sense?
No, you're making sense. Yeah. I remember the other day a friend of ours talked about that.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a good example.
Yeah, if they eat eggs, they will start feeling weird. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Like you, for example, if you compare yourself to the mentally impaired, when you, in real sense, you won't die. But
and it's true, by the way, and remembering
it will upset your stomach.
Exactly.
And all,
If you're saying the body can adapt, I'd really go for those who normally say they don't take, like fish or maybe.
Who doesn't take
These
fish?
people, it's like these people are not used to taking these things while growing up. That is just it. Because you cannot tell me, if I force you to eat meat right now, you will not take it because you will die. I'm sure you won't die. God gave us food for us to eat everything that is to be eaten. That is the truth. And I want to let you know, my subscribers, my viewers, my listeners, this is for you guys.
This is getting interesting.
Exactly. Because I think it's just the mental, the mind. It's what you put in your mind. Still back to, you can create something and make it believable.
Yeah.
And you can also influence people to believe it is true. So maybe while growing up you were told, if you dare eat this, mwili itafura. Ama if the smell of maybe sardines, in our language, omena, it's so bad. But anyway, that is that. Continuing back to what you were talking about, there is no food security without healthy soils. And if we have healthy soils, definitely we are going. I think there is also a policy that talks about food security over there, right?
Yeah.
So it's still back to whatever we are talking about. So there is no food security without healthy soils, and that is that. Agriculture is the only essential industry, but farming has one of the biggest impacts on soil health. Intensive farming eliminates species living within the soil, species that give soil its fertility. That is when we also talked about the animals that have the soil as their habitat. After when they die, I think they decompose, right? And after decomposing, they release nutrients into the soil, and the nutrients into the soil are being consumed by the crops, which get nutrients to also grow, right? Oh my god, I'm so proud of myself. As much as I failed I'm sorry, my dear teacher of agriculture. But I know I'm really making it up to him and my first Form 1 teacher. I'm really making it up for you.
If you're watching her right now, you must be very proud.
Exactly. I know, right? Take that home. Anyway, still continuing, how we farm today is destroying our ability to feed the planet in the future. I think that point takes us back to the kind of the fertilizers that we use nowadays. We use too much chemicals and not really focus on the natural ones.
Yes.
Yeah, like the compost manure that you said, right?
Yeah.
The organic. Is it the same?
Organic it's organic.
Yeah. From maybe cow dung.
Cow dung,
get cow dung from
food.
the what maize
Maize tovers.
yeah, maize tovers, whereby you can use maize tovers to act as mulch. And from mulching, they release protein after decomposing again.
Yeah.
Wow, very interesting, guys. And as we continue, we see that everything that we say, every little detail that we're talking about in soil, they go hand in hand and nothing is left behind. Funny enough, yesterday we talked about agroforestry, and today we are also looking at agroforestry as subtopic in the soil management and conservation. So that is why I keep on reminding you not to leave this platform and stay tuned till the end, even as we go on. And now there is also creating new soil takes longer than the average human life.
Sorry?
Creating new soil takes longer than the average human life. We need
the
to
average
protect.
Human life is 70.
Yeah.
Is it 70 or 50? No, right now in Kenya, is it 53 or 70? There was a time it was as low as 53.
Oh my god, are you serious?
Yeah, there was a time I think I read somewhere.
Speaking of that, can I just ask what really reduces the lifespan, maybe, or the average human life? Is it the type of food that we consume, or is it the climate, or whatever is happening?
I think almost all of it affects us, because the type of anything you ingest in your body, it will affect how long your life will be. Climatic changes also, cancer, skin cancer, and all those, they also come into play. But then, the way they calculate the statistic of life expectancy, I think, the way they calculate it, it's because they get it from the statistic.
Oh,
yeah,
I see. So even as you look at the negative ones, now I have the positive
Positive.
one. I keep asking myself, why is it that we blacks, from Africa, we tend to have very short hair, but when you look at the whites, I'm like, oh my god, what is happening? Where did we go wrong? And at some point, I came to learn from.
You're talking about the hair.
Exactly, the hair, the color. I don't know if it's maybe the climate.
But black is good. Black
I know.
I'm
not a racist or whatever I'm doing. Yeah, I'm just I'm just being what? What do we call it?
Comparing or what?
No, not comparison at all. Admiring.
Yeah, we are appreciating.
Yeah, appreciating how God was so creative to the point that he could get a white person and a black person, long hair, short hair, dark skin, white skin. It's so beautiful. Yeah, so I just wanted to know, and at some point there was this friend of mine that told me it also depends on whatever we consume.
For me to be black and white?
No, not really.
Okay.
From the hair,
the
growth of hair, the length of hair. You find that most of Africans actually are plus size. If you really look into the bigger picture, but when you look at the whites, they're not too plus size. They have that that slim body. Exactly, the petite. Anyway, still continuing. You see, even as we continue, you have a lot to compare with. It's really relatable.
Yeah.
And so the next thing, in creating new soil takes longer than the average human life. We need to protect and conserve soil. It is a living resource and it is finite. So if it takes that long, it means we really, really need to work on our soil management, because if I'm to start right now to conserve soil that has nothing, just plain, trying to build it from zero, it means I'll be managing it until I die, maybe. Because looking at this research over here, is saying it takes longer than the average human life.
So, that's interesting. Yeah, because, when you start managing soil, it means that when I start managing soil, I would have started.
Exactly.
Before I was born.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or maybe somebody would have started before you're born, or maybe, I don't know if average, whatever that is, but it takes a longer time that we really need to protect our soil, not burn our forest, because the burning of the forest really leaves the soil bare and puts it out of there, exposes it to the direct sunlight, which is also not good.
It also destroys the habitat.
Exactly, the habitat. And makes also the soil loose, because it can also be eroded quickly without the trees. And as we continue, we have what's at stake
About soil management.
about soil. What's at stake? So here, we are going to, while climate change has affected soil quality, and that is what I also talked about, that climate change has really, really, really affected our soil quality, and that is why everything that we're doing here is also related to climate smart agriculture. And we are looking at how you can be smart in agriculture, how you can help deal with the current situations of everything with our economy, how we can get jobs and offer platforms for those who can at least put something on the table from whatever they need to create from agriculture. And let me tell you, agriculture is getting people rich outside here, and at least people are really, really eating from agriculture. And if only agriculture can feed everyone, actually it's just agriculture that can feed everyone. Because from everything, even the cakes that you eat, everything, it comes from agriculture, because it's from wheat, or what is it, wheat or millet? Wheat, right? Sorry. From wheat to flour to baking or whatever it is. Everything
Sorry.
is just, it's okay, sorry. Everything is just agriculture. Anyway, as we continue, while climate change has affected soil quality around the globe in recent years, soil conversely can affect climate change too. Wow, I didn't see that coming. The Earth's soil absorbs roughly a quarter of all human emissions each year, with a large portion of this stored in peatland or permafrost. Unfortunately, these Arctic habitats are on the front lines of global warming and the additional. Actually, remember me asking you something about global warming when it came to us talking about soil, soil management and policies actually. Then normally rain soaks into soil, but where the structure is breaking down, it runs off field instead. And while the water runs off the field instead, it carries away with it the loose soil. And if the loose soil is swept away, the soil that remains becomes bare.
Yeah.
We have actually the stages, the levels of soil, right?
Yeah, they are
from
there.
the topsoil to, okay, I don't really remember. I don't really remember, but I know it's there.
But we can just do the research.
Please do it. And we also have taking with it fertilizers and chemicals that are carried into waterways, damaging populations of aquatic plants and wildlife. So this also takes us back to while we were talking about the effects of using a lot of pesticides, a lot of chemicals. So like here, when rain falls and it floods the soil, washes away the soil with it, it maybe moves into the water bodies.
Yeah.
Whereby after moving, the chemicals interfere with the animals that are living there. So it destroys their habitats, and that is not really good, damaging the population of aquatic plants and wildlife. Then we also have, while the dangers present another layer in the fight for a greener future, soil offers one of the best win-win solutions for carbon capture, enhancing natural processes in relatively cost-effective ways. So at least in as much as the water is washing away everything into the water bodies and destroying wildlife and aquatic plants, the soil has a way of creating a win-win solution for carbon capture. And replenishing and protecting the world's soil carbon stores could help to offset up to 5.5 billion tons of GHGs every year in the US alone. It's a forgotten solution that has largely been ignored. Yeah. So that is so much about the importance of soil, and why we have to choose soil, of which it is also the importance of soil, right?
Yeah.
Just something about that.
Yeah. Okay. I would like to talk about the goal of good soil management. We find that the goal of good soil management is to meet essential plant needs, because that is what we want. We want our plants to thrive. Want to produce. Want to harvest healthy crops. And by that, we have to start from the soil, going upwards. And healthy plants need water first. They also need nutrients. They need oxygen and a physical medium that allows seeds to germinate. That's now where the soil texture gets in. Because I don't think seeds can germinate in the soil?
They can't.
It can't.
Because there's a lack of enough air getting into. There's a way that clay is. It's how do I put it? It's intact.
It's
together. Yeah,
it's
that it
intact
does
and-
not. It does not allow air.
Yeah,
pass
yeah,
through it.
yeah. I remember that was in a topic in primary school. Or
Yeah.
high
I
school.
remember.
Yeah, I used to love that topic a
Yeah.
lot. And shoots. It should also allow shoots to germinate, to emerge, and grow up towards the sunlight, and the roots to anchor the plant by growing. So we can just talk about some of the soil management practices.
Please,
Yeah. The very first one that you should be considering when you want to manage your soil, you need to do soil testing first. And soil test, it provides very important information about nutrient levels in the soil, including phosphorus, potassium, calcium, and magnesium, as well as the pH of the soil. And you can also test for organic matter in the soil.
Okay.
Yeah. Nitrogen is a very important nutrient and the one that is frequently deficient and not included directly in most soil tests. This is because nitrogen forms and amounts change in response to temperature, soil moisture, biological activity, and so as one-time test doesn't provide very useful information. Actually, in my research, I read that you should be doing soil tests every 2 to 3 seasons, or if you can maybe afford it, you can be doing it every season. Before you put a crop on your farm, you just do a soil test. They analyze it for you. Actually, I'm going to tell you the process of how to read soil test. The soil test reports show the levels of potassium and the pH of the soil, calcium and magnesium. Yeah. Even every soil test looks a little different, but in general, there will be a graph that gives you quick summary of how your soil is doing. So just to maybe remember what I read, how to check soil tests. There's this machine called soil auger.
Soil auger.
Okay, I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, but it's
auger for like auger.
Not auger for the G2, not
Okay.
It's a machine. It's an equipment. Yeah, it's a farm equipment that you dip in the soil for I don't know, it's an inch or okay. However, you if you know about these things, you can just comment. You tell us how deep we should collect the soil, and then you take it to you contact the extension officers that are in charge of soil testing. Yeah, and then you do the soil test. They will tell you the rate, the pH of the soil, the rate of the nutrients in the soil, and everything, and that will give you information on what you should plant, how much fertilizers, if you want to use fertilizers, how much you will use, and how you will manage the soil from there. Yeah, they even say the type of the soil they give. Yeah,
and from here I also see that when collecting soil for soil testing, there's instructions in the kit. There's that soil test kit that they use, and there's also instructions on how you can test the soil. And a basic soil test kit from the Agricultural and Analytical Service Laboratory states that the kit contains instructions on how to collect and prepare a simple form to fill out, a plastic bag for the soil sample, and a package for mailing everything. For the example, Penn State Laboratory. Yeah. Then how to read the soil test? You have the soil test reports show the levels of potassium, magnesium, and pH in soil. And we also have every soil test looks a little different. Yeah, guys, every soil, they are trying to say that every soil has a different type of test. They like look different, but in general, there will be a graph that gives you a quick summary of how your soil is doing. Yeah, and except crop needs, in bracket vegetables or agronomic crops, the soil has more than enough nutrients, so there will be no need to add more. Yeah, after doing your soil test. Yeah. And if birds are in the below optimum zone, I'm still continuing with how you will know. Birds are in the below optimum zone, there are not enough nutrients to support the next crop. So maybe whatever you are having, the kind of soil you're having is only going to push the crops that are currently being grown, but in the next crop production that you're going to begin to start, it's not going to be really successful because it's really low. And it also
you're giving me wisdom.
it also
is yours.
it also reports it also shows that it provides recommendation for how much and what type of fertilizer and lime to add if needed. And I think that is something very nice because if at least we have it, people will not just use any fertilizer, any chemical, any whatever, because they will know whatever they need to add
and the
instead
amount
of over putting. Excessive of something is not very good. Too much of something is very dangerous.
But then we'd like to urge farmers, like, you just invest in that because that investment will give you return instead of kupima na macho.
Exactly.
Measuring with the eyes.
Just like this.
Yeah, that's a direct translation.
Yeah, and by the way, as Kenyans, we should really stop looking at the negative side of things. What they say? Expensive is
cheap is expensive.
Yeah, cheap. So cheap is very expensive, and expensive is cheap. So it's better you get the kit, test your soil, get to know the kind of maybe fertilizer you need to add for it to give you
the kind of crop because of the pH of the soil.
Exactly. Instead of just like she has just said kupima na macho, that is, and I think when we do that, we will really be helped from that. And even as we continue, we have the report also provide recommendations for how much and what type of fertilizer and lime to add if needed.
Actually, we've just said
then recommendations on nitrogen applications are made mostly on the basis of the crop being grown. So the crop that you're growing will determine the nitrogen application that you will require
from the soil test.
Exactly.
Like you will know the amount of nitrogen that's in your soil.
Yeah.
And then now you will get to determine which crop you will plant there or whatever you want to.
Yeah, and here it also says that according to the soil test, you will know that maybe, for example, there's a lot of phosphate, maybe potassium, and that is favorable for this type of crop and maybe not this type of crop. You see, yeah. So at least you will know that this place can only sustain this kind of crop. So that is one of the important reasons for testing the soil, and we also have soil pH also. A very important aspect of soil fertility. I just heard you talking about pH a while ago. pH is not a plant nutrient, but rather is a measure of the acidity of the soil. So pH is the measure of acidity that is found in the soil. And most
can we say that's also salinization? I like that word, salinization.
And she just said salinization is the amount of salt found in soil or
water.
Exactly. Don't forget about that, dear viewers. And as we continue, most crops grow best when the soil pH falls between 6.2 and 6.8 because this is the range in which plant roots can best absorb nutrients. Yeah, like nitrogen, calcium, potassium, and more and more from the soil. And even as we continue,
we can talk about, you can take us through adding fertilizers and
adding fertilizers and lime. Plant nutrients are added to the soil in order to improve crop plant growth. And here, nutrients are typically added as fertilizers, but compost, manure, and cover crops are also sources of plant nutrients. This is where we were talking about when maybe you use the
organic farming
method.
Yeah.
The maize stalks,
the compost manure.
Exactly. It adds more nutrients to the soil and to the crops that are being grown, and this vary in formulation, combination of nutrients, and amount of each nutrient. And all fertilizer labels include the grade or analysis of that particular fertilizer. Even as we continue, fertilizers may be applied at different times and by
Yeah.
different methods. Oh, so there are also methods of applying fertilizers. It's not only maybe one method from
Yeah,
hapa mpaka huko.
I think there's a time my my parents owned a Napier field. Yeah, and this fertilizer that we were applying, it was like white. It looked like rice. Have you ever seen it in any farm?
Wait, do they also use that one in sugarcane? Or maybe all fertilizers are... Yeah,
Okay.
because the only fertilizer I remember was when my mom used to like have this sugarcane farm,
Oh yeah.
and we used to have like, was it called Roundup or something? Yeah, it was
fertilizer.
it was in a bottle like this.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we're being told that if maybe you touch it, you have to clean your hands properly, and actually that is one of the reasons that reasons you need to know. Okay, how you need to work around after touching maybe fertilizers.
You always
or
need to wash your
you need
hands,
to really
no matter.
thoroughly wash your hands, that you'll die. By the way, that is what we were being told, and it really scared the hell out of me. By the way, because I'm always intrigued by so many things, thrilled by so many things. So I was like,
What if I taste?
Okay,
What
what
will
if-
happen?
exactly.
What you commit suicide?
But
that-
now my mother is a beast. She can really beat the hell out of you. So that's the only thing that keeps me away from that. Anyway, continue. You're saying something about fertilizer, white, small.
Yeah.
balls.
Okay. Yeah. So we are playing that, and then I was just saying, like, I was just trying to expound the difference because they apply differently. There's some that are mixed with water and then sprayed on the crops, and there's those ones that you manually apply, and there are those ones that are even applied before planting, because that one it was applied when the Napier had reached a certain level. Yeah, I remember we used to check, but I was so young, I can't remember the name of the fertilizer. It was, but I know it. Is it a fertilizer or it's fertilizers and okay, it's always fertilizers and manure, right?
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's fertilizer.
right.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
It was a fertilizer.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. So we also have, similarly to fertilizers, different types of lime are available, and your soil test report will include recommendations on which type is best for your fields. Definitely, that also is important for you to know, because you can't just use any type of lime. You need to know whatever you want, and why are you in need of that kind of lime. And fall is an excellent time to apply lime for it to react with the soil. Yeah, your lime should also be able to react with the soil and neutralize acidity before the next crop is grown. So while using it right now, as the current crop is there, you need to ensure that it is
You give it
applied
time.
during fall, and that time will allow it to really neutralize with the soil and mix thoroughly to reduce the acidity, if I'm not wrong. And we also have adding compost manure. Adding compost and manure to soil can increase your organic matter content, as well as add plant nutrients. Wow.
Because this is so natural.
Yeah, it's just us going round and round about
It's
organic
just-
and compost and manures. Yeah, compost and manure. So, the amount of nutrients, the amount of nutrients in manure vary by the animal it came. Wow, this also matters. Imagine the nutrients in manure varies from the kind of animal it came from. And,
really?
Imagine, and
That's
what the
interesting.
animal ate.
This is what we are learning today,
Exactly.
yeah.
What the animal ate, how the manure has been stored, and how long it's been stored. For example, poultry manure generally has more nitrogen than dairy manure and fresh. Wow! You know, sometimes you don't have to really disrespect a chicken and respect the cow. Right here, I'm seeing that poultry manure is generally full of more nitrogen than the dairy manure. And fresh manure has more nitrogen than stored manure. Yeah. In general, composts are good sources of phosphorus and potassium, but they contain relatively little nitrogen. So compost has little nitrogen. We also have cover crops, crop rotation, and other conservation practices. And rotating crops is one of the most important, yeah, practices for keeping soils healthy. Like for example, I think it was the other day we were talking with you, and you are saying something like this season, or was it with the with Queen? She was saying this today you plant maybe maize.
Yeah.
Next season you plant beans. The next you plant maybe millet.
That's now
Yeah,
crop
it's
rotation.
the rotation introduces more nutrients into your soil, by the way. Yeah, because at least the soil gets to also, I think, get more nutrients from different crops, and as they mix up, it brings out a lot of nutrients. And important practices for keeping soils healthy and alive. If the same crop is grown over and over and over and over, pests and diseases can build up in the soil.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is not really a good idea, and organic matter content can decline, including perennials such as grass or clover in vegetable or field crop rotation is recommended. So I think I'm done with that soil test report and how to ensure your soil has good pH, and how you can make your soil get nutrients and all that, be fertile. Yeah, so you can take us through as we continue.
Okay. Thank you for being with us until that juncture. We are going to take a break now, and don't forget to follow us on our social media handles. We are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter as A Farmers Media, and right now we are live on Facebook and YouTube. We'll be back shortly.
Have you felt that the climate has been changing? Perhaps the dry season seems hotter. The rains are too late, or too early, too little, or don't come at all.
You're seeing more pests and diseases on your shamba. All of this can lead to less yields.
By managing your water and soil, you can ensure that your shamba is still productive. This could be as simple as harvesting water from your roofs, investing in solar irrigation, and practicing conservation agriculture such as mulching, crop rotation, and minimum tillage.
Trees are also a part of smart farming and can help you make your farm cooler, keep your soils intact and healthy. Planting fodder crops and turning grasses into hay or silage is another smart way of adapting.
But be aware that even with smart farming, some things will remain out of your control. That's why it's a good idea to think about insurance, as this can cover you from these unforeseen events.
Good soil and water management, along with planting trees and pest and disease control, can also help you increase your yields and income as the climate changes. Conservation agriculture is a way of farming that keeps nutrients and moisture in your soil. It's also a good way of controlling pests and diseases. The three main principles are minimum tillage, mulching, and crop rotation. With minimum tillage, you only disturb the soil where you will be planting. You can do this with a reaper or using a djembe. The second principle is called mulching. This means that you cover your soil with leftover residues such as leaves or maize stovers. This protects your soil from the hot sun while holding moisture in the ground. The mulch material will break down and add nutrients to your soil. Crop rotation is the third principle. You shouldn't plant the same crop on the same piece of land year after year. Instead, rotate between different crop families each season. If you follow these simple principles, you can be certain of healthier soil and higher yields in the long run.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. This is A Farmers Media again. a platform where we connect,
Learn
learn and
and
grow. Going back to my colleague who has been giving me knowledge on soil management. Take us through the challenges, right?
I'm just looking at this research over here, and I just found that even organic fertilizers, in as much as they have their advantages, we have the challenges, and the challenges come whereby we have the lack of a proper labeling of the fertilizers, organic fertilizers, which may confuse maybe a farmer and use the wrong maybe fertilizer on a soil that the test it becomes a challenge. Another challenge is lack of standards for organic fertilizers. Then another one was danger of use of contaminated raw materials that are contaminated maybe are not very good, and this is also a challenge.
Can we say that
plastic? Thank you.
Our minds in sync.
That's what I also thought, because when talking about this, I remember back in high school, most of this is just the things that we learned by the way. High school, primary, like burning of plastic releases a lot of toxic gases.
The atmosphere.
Exactly. And even when they are being thrown without being recycled, it may also become a challenge and lead to soil mismanagement and destroy the soil fertility. So another one is also inadequate material for composting. Maybe we don't have the like everything that we need for composting, maybe the organic fertilizers, and that is can also be a shortcoming. We have also lack of a regulatory organization and legislation to deal with organic fertilizers. In as much as we have the policies and the legal frameworks, there may be lack of the exact policy or maybe a sector that handles fertilizers. And if maybe it's there, they really need to pull up step up their game and create awareness, teach these people. Lack of information is the reason why most of our farmers are left behind, because they don't know if maybe whatever they're doing is the right thing. And if maybe they knew, it would be better, it would have been better off. So at least if we have that, and maybe if it is more efficient, we can really move in quickly and move faster. Inadequate information on organic fertilizers. Just
that's what you said.
Being informative and being aware of the fertilizers that you need to use can really help you so much, because if you know, you cannot maybe overdose maybe nitrogen. Maybe your soil is full of nitrogen.
We are overdosing the plant.
Okay, the soil.
It's interesting.
Don't do that. Come on. So we really need to look at that. Still back onto you.
Okay, it's complete. The challenges. So I'd just like us to talk about agroforestry and soil management. Because yesterday we spoke about agroforestry. And I know some of our viewers were here yesterday, so we just have to compare it to them. So several factors have contributed to a rising interest in agroforestry since the 1970s. Which among them include increased deforestation, that is the excessive cutting down of trees, soil degradation and scarcity of land because of population pressures.
And still remember there's an uplifting of the burning of the cutting down of trees.
And now
so
this
sad.
Deforestation, I think I'm just foreseeing the next 3 to 4 months. I think the president will have to amend it again.
I hope he does that, because if he allows that, I think we are going to really mismanage our
people are being given license.
Maybe, I think if they are giving license, then I don't know, but I feel like they won't be really reinforcing it that much to the point that people will have to follow the exact rules. Kenya is Kenya.
Because we'll have to quote.
Yes.
We'll have to quote.
Exactly.
The agroforestry systems also contribute to soil, water, and water conservation and increasing soil fertility. I think now this is where the soil management and the importance of agroforestry in soil management comes in. Okay, the contribution of forestry sector, that's just the policy that we are going to repeat. Yeah, so we can just go through the challenges of agroforestry before we go to the importance. There's weak institutional support mechanisms. Okay, like we said, most of the institutions they don't support
agroforestry.
because I think the land matters. We're going to put up the agroforestry system. The know-how. There is inadequate quality planting materials. These ones farmers have been complaining about since time immemorial. There's inadequate tree tenure rights, benefits sharing, and conflict resolution mechanisms in agroforestry. Inadequate agroecological zone specific research on agroforestry models. I'll just read through them because I think okay, how do you find them? They are self-explanatory. I'll just be repeating myself if I start explaining, right? Inadequate research extension, research linkages, and ignorance of the advantages of agroforestry. There's delayed return on investment and weak market access.
And when we talk of delayed return of investment, is whereby maybe you put a lot of you invest a lot into that agroforestry, but it takes a longer time for it to recreate revenue for you and for your business to maybe thrive, or maybe your farming practices to maybe thrive.
Okay. The environmental and economic value of agroforestry products and services is undervalued and not given adequate attention. I think that one is about creating awareness.
Creating awareness. And lack of information also leads to challenges in trying out agroforestry, which is very important because if you have the trees, what else do we need? Soil and the trees. You can just continue.
The policy statements that govern agroforestry. The national government will support agroforestry research. They will support capacity building in agroforestry. They will encourage increased participation of the private sector in agroforestry. They will promote linkages between research and extension on matters agroforestry. They will support agroforestry as a course curriculum in educational institution and motivating youth to grow and conserve trees. That is for the national government. For the county government, it will support agroforestry extension. So these are promises that we need to follow up on so that we see if they are being put into practice.
Exactly.
If they are implemented.
And I think from all the challenges of agroforestry and challenges from soil health and fertilizers, we get to understand the challenges that are facing agricultural soil management in Kenya, whereby we have a lack of awareness, lack of proper information, lack of sectors that may at least govern and lead people, show people the right way of managing the soil, and lack of proper know-how of the kind of crop that needs to be grown in such a soil that has this and this pH and maybe all that.
Okay,
you can continue.
The county government will are just left to establish incentives to farmers for adapting agroforestry and support adaptive research on matters agroforestry. So this is just the promise of the government, how they will implement agroforestry systems in general.
And by the way, guys, agroforestry really plays a very big role in the soil management. And from that, are you done with agroforestry?
We're done with agroforestry.
From agroforestry, we have land reclamation, where we also had the land reclamation policies. And from there, we find that agricultural land degradation manifests itself in many ways, which include unsustainable loss of land, of soils through erosion, loss of vegetation, increasing of scarcity of clean water sources and bare land surfaces, gullies due to soil erosion, and landslides, desertification, and invasion of intrusive species. Like there was a time, you remember we had attack of locusts
Yeah.
sometime back.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
year was it? I think it was still
I don't remember
Was it
actually.
20?
Was it like 3 years ago?
20. Was it 2019?
I don't know if it's two,
Yeah,
two
yeah,
to 3 years
yeah.
ago. Okay, that is that. Yeah, so that can also lead into soil destruction, and maybe after a while it leaves the soil bare. You can see from here we have also seen that gully erosion, which destroys the soil
Yeah,
fertility.
yeah.
So after that, for a while, there is also how you can do land reclamation, whereby you try to recover the destroyed soil and put it back to make something better. So even as we continue, in Kenya, an estimated $390 million, or 3% of the gross domestic product, is lost annually due to land degradation. Very sad. And some of the other policies and strategies that have a direct bearing on land rehabilitation include national water policy, agriculture, and so on and on and on. And for you, our viewers and listeners, I would just like to ask you if in any way you know of any land that is just left there, maybe that needs to be reclaimed. We know more about it, and maybe if you could try to reach out to the officers that are responsible for such, to at least speak out, and at least for people to get to acquire those land and make something out of it, it will be very good. And the challenges of land reclamation: increasing agricultural land and environmental degradation, leading to decline in agricultural soil productivity. Then we have reduced soil biodiversity and unsustainable agricultural production systems. Then inadequate investments by the national and county governments. The national and the county governments don't really put a lot of investments into the land that we have. Towards the development of sustainable agroecological zone based land reclamation interventions for the agricultural sector. Yeah, lack of coordination and integration of land reclamation. Yeah, and then you have also policy statements, the county government, what the county government will, and I hope with the time we get to surpass the will, we do is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's being put into practice.
Yes,
Yeah.
being put into practice instead of us listening every day to will. Yeah, we are tired of the stories. We need real things, because we are looking at our future generation. Yeah, because if we don't do it right now, nobody will do it for us. So it's upon us to really take action and speak out for agriculture to be the major issue that needs to be discussed in the whole of our country. The other day I told you that we were being told to like start getting used to rice, because the price of flour is getting higher, and it's like forcing me to leave whatever I've been used to since I was born, to start eating rice. And definitely you can't eat rice daily, as the same way you didn't really used to eat ugali daily. But in as much as it is that way, it's something that really needs to be looked into.
And we hope that the press release that Mithika Linturi, our CS for agriculture, he said that the prices of flour will go down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we hope that will also come into play, and it will not be like the other time when the price, it went to 100, but we couldn't find it anywhere. So we were wondering, where's this maize flour for 100 shillings?
Yeah. So even as we continue, let's move into climate change and variability impacts. Yeah, and from climate change and variability impacts, we have climate change and variability is associated with extreme temperatures and rainfall events. Yeah, but then when we speak of climate change, we are not only focusing on the drought, we're also focusing on the floods, anything that concerns climate, be it floods, drought, and normal wind conditions. Such. So it's not all about drought alone, and rainfall events which negatively affect agricultural productivity. And high rainfall leads to increased vegetative growth, which provides good soil cover. And we also have excessive rainfall can lead to flooding and leaching of nutrients. We just said a little bit of some excessive of something is dangerous.
Yeah.
And at least if
A
it's
little bit of something.
exactly, that is the word. A little bit of something. Oh,
Oh,
sorry,
no.
sorry, I just
I'm using your words against you.
please don't. Yeah, too much of something is dangerous.
Yeah, too
Of
much
course,
of
I
something
just
is
got it.
dangerous, yeah.
So, as we continue, high temperatures and drought lead to loss of soil carbon, leading to low soil fertility. And extreme drought and high temperatures associated with climate change also may lead to aggravated organic carbon sequestration. And the national climate change policy and strategies have been proposed and we are still in will, and I hope after will we'll be moving to ease whatever the country is doing to facilitate a coordinated, coherent and effective response to the local, national and global challenges. And again, this is just everything that we need to know about climate change and variability impacts on agricultural soils. And definitely there are challenges, and the challenges are here: developing specific predictions at spatial and temporal scales relevant to planning is still challenging, and the capacity to respond to the adverse impacts and inherent uncertainty of climate change remains very low. We have weak enforcement of strategies. Yeah, we say this, but we don't do it. We don't really put a lot of force into the strategies that we've made. Planning without doing is nothing. It's still the same as somebody seated waiting for nothing.
Yeah, but we as the farmers also, we should push for it.
Yeah.
Although, okay, I heard that if you want to make a demonstration, you must have a letter.
Oh.
Yeah. But we are not advocating for that.
Yeah, and
actually,
if it's maybe a demonstration, it should be a peaceful one.
Peaceful demonstration, yeah.
Peaceful
but I think as farmers, we should also push for all this to the government so that they can listen to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we might be silent and maybe they think that we are just thriving in our silence. True. Yeah, yet tunaumia sisi wote.
Very true. So even as we continue, we have whatever I was saying was weak enforcement of strategies to combat climate change and variability. We have low budget allocations. This is where we look at funds. We find that the funds that are being allocated to the agricultural team, it's too little. Come on. I mean, in as much as maybe we would say that there are some industries that did not do very well and collapsed due to maybe mismanagement of funds. I don't know what happens there, but I hope if we really have a serious and a reinforced team that is working with the transparency, it's going to really work for us. And we also have here,
before you continue, I have just seen here that 9 billion is what was allocated for agriculture sector in the proposed budget allocation. Yeah. So agriculture sector has been allocated 49.9 billion in the 2023-2024 budget to strengthen operations.
So at least it's an improvement.
Is it really an improvement?
How about, okay, the last one was the previous one?
9 billion.
9 billion. Two?
For agriculture sector in proposed budget allocation. But it's
a great improvement from 9 billion to 40 something.
Yeah, 49.9 billion in the 2020.
Interesting, and I hope it continues like that. And in as much as the funds are being allocated, I really wish and hope and pray that those who get the money and the funds to really use the funds for the right ways and not for selfish reasons or selfish gains, because a lot of people are really working hard, putting a lot together just to make it happen for our country. We cannot live like this with hunger. We need health, we need life, we need food in order to make everything work, in order to make our country grow. And that is why we are urging our leaders to at least work with transparency. Even as we continue, we have Sorry about that. We were talking about low budget allocation, of which at least you can see that the government is doing something about that. Then you have inadequate awareness on climate change. Yeah, some people, there are people who live in places where they are not even aware. For example, like right now, there are places that have been stated that El Nino is going to really affect the area, and there are those that live there but are not aware that El Nino is coming. Yeah, so such matters. People need to be aware of the current climate change and whatever is to come in order to be ready for it. You don't find the people dying because of floods, people dying because of hunger due to lack of knowledge. It's really not good. Yeah.
And for that, thank you for staying with us until this point that we are in. We are talking about soil management, and we'll be back shortly.
Have you felt that the climate has been changing? Perhaps the dry season seems hotter. The rains are too late, or too early, too little, or don't come at all.
You're seeing more pests and diseases on your shamba. All of this can lead to less yields.
By managing your water and soil, you can ensure that your shamba is still productive. This could be as simple as harvesting water from your roofs, investing in solar irrigation, and practicing conservation agriculture such as mulching, crop rotation, and minimum tillage.
Trees are also a part of smart farming and can help you make your farm cooler, keep your soils intact and healthy. Planting fodder crops and turning grasses into hay or silage is another smart way of adapting.
But be aware that even with smart farming, some things will remain out of your control. That's why it's a good idea to think about insurance, as this can cover you from these unforeseen events.
Good soil and water management, along with planting trees and pest and disease control, can also help you increase your yields and income as the climate changes. The heart of any shamba lies in its soil. Because soil is so precious, it needs to be managed really carefully. A good place to start is with a soil test. This will tell you how healthy your soil is, its pH levels, what type of soil it is, which crops you can grow in your soil, and advice on which fertilizer is best to use. If you follow the soil test recommendations, it can boost your yields. So, how do you take a soil test sample? Firstly, dig up soil samples. Use a soil auger or panga to take a sample 1 feet deep in a zigzag pattern across your shamba. You will need at least 10 samples. Mix all the different samples together in a bucket. The soil is now ready to be scanned and tested. You can find out about how to get your soil tested by contacting your extension officer. Alternatively, contact a Ministry of Agriculture research station near you. A soil test costs about as much as 1 bag of maize. You should do a soil test at least every 3 to 5 years. Conservation agriculture is a way of farming that keeps nutrients and moisture in your soil. It's also a good way of controlling pests and diseases. The 3 main principles are minimum tillage, mulching, and crop rotation. With minimum tillage, you only disturb the soil where you will be planting. You can do this with a reaper or using a djembe. The second principle is called mulching. This means that you cover your soil with leftover residues such as leaves or maize stovers. This protects your soil from the hot sun while holding moisture in the ground. The mulch material will break down and add nutrients to your soil. Crop rotation is the third principle. You shouldn't plant the same crop on the same piece of land year after year. Instead, rotate between different crop families each season. If you follow these simple principles, You can be certain of healthier soil and higher yields in the long run. The heart of any shamba lies in its soil. Because soil is so precious, it needs to be managed really carefully. A good place to start is with a soil test. This will tell you how healthy your soil is, its pH levels, what type of soil it is, which crops you can grow in your soil, and advice on which fertilizer is best to use. If you follow the soil test recommendations, it can boost your yields. So, how do you take a soil test sample? Firstly, dig up soil samples. Use a soil auger or panga to take a sample 1 feet deep in a zigzag pattern across your shamba. You will need at least 10 samples. Mix all the different samples together in a bucket. The soil is now ready to be scanned and tested. You can find out about how to get your soil tested by contacting your extension officer. Alternatively, contact a Ministry of Agriculture research station near you. A soil test costs about as much as 1 bag of maize. You should do a soil test at least every 3 to 5 years.
Welcome back to this interesting discussion. Now, when we left, my colleague was taking us through soil management,
climate change and variability impacts, and whatever that how climate change is actually affecting our soil, and the fertility and everything that is to be known about soil. And even as we continue, I think we are going to jump into the national and the county government, where Stephanie is going to take us through.
Okay, the national government, in collaboration with the county governments and other relevant stakeholders, will review this policy as may be necessary to respond to emerging developments and implementation issues. Okay, the envisaged framework shall feed into the wider establishment of new institution, review and reorganize the existing institution, and other mechanisms to operationalize this policy. Okay, the national government, in consultation with county government and other relevant legal and parliamentary committees, will formulate the NASM Act. Okay.
Okay, so in as much as the national and the county government, this is all under the institutional frameworks actually, and this is where we're looking at whatever the national and the county government is trying to look into and give a solution from whatever problem we are facing, whatever challenges that we are going through. So they are going to put all of those into consideration. That is, if it will work, and at least give us way forward on whatever is to be done and whatever not to be done, and how we can look at ways to overcome whatever we are going through as a country right now. Please continue, Stephanie.
Okay, well, let us jump into the legal institutions under the NASM policy. Okay, this NASM policy, the institution are Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries, and Cooperatives. Their roles are responsible for mobilization of resources. They oversee, in collaboration with county governments, the formulation of agricultural soil management laws and policies, provide sector regulation, coordination and guidance, and monitoring and evaluation. These are the roles of Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries, and Cooperatives in legal institution under an ASM policy. So I'll just maybe go through them. Then, if my colleague has more to add on it, she can expand.
There are so many guys. They're like so much and responsible for mobilization of resources. That is just what we were talking about, of our leaders being responsible of allowing the funds to be properly distributed for everybody to benefit from it, and not be used for other people's selfish gains. And we also have overseen collaboration with county governments the formulation of agricultural soil management. And we also have appoint officers and carry out other mandate as may be specified in the National Agricultural Soil Management. And we also have overseeing implementation of the NASM policy. Yeah, they ensure that every rule or every law that they have given out is implemented and is being followed to the latter. Yeah, because if we put jokers to lead us with that, it won't work. So we need people who are serious, who are passionate about agriculture, who knows what agriculture is. And with that, at least we'll have our soil being managed and conserved through avoiding the things that are leading to our soil to be damaged, destroyed. Yeah, all that. And even as we continue, we also have provision of strategic research services through KALRO, and the formulation of national project and programs in collaboration with county government and other relevant stakeholders. Yeah, so we have so many, and as we continue, we also have National Agricultural Soil Management Unit, which is to be established with the mandate of overseeing and regulating the nation's soil resources and use and management. So there should be a national soil agricultural soil management group, a unit whereby they establish ways of dealing with soil issues, ways that they can use to at least improve our soil, or the rules that I initially said they can implement. They can ensure people implement and use them to ensure that nobody breaks the law. Yeah, in as much as they say the rules are there to be broken, but at their point that exactly it shouldn't be taken lightly, because we are still going back to, if it's not the soil, it's not us. If there's no soil, there's no soil. Excuse me, there's no us. So please continue.
Okay, are we still on our legal institutions under National Soil Management Policy? We have completed the Agriculture, Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries and Cooperatives. We're going to the National Agricultural Soil Management Unit, which is to be established with the mandate of foreseeing and regulating the nation's soil resource use and management. And their responsibilities will be to oversight and coordinate, in collaboration with county agriculture soil management units, soils related activities including quality assurance of soil improvement inputs. Yeah, I think that's self-explanatory. Or you have something more to add on it? Collaborate and liaise with other agencies involved in ASM at local, regional and international levels, because I think soil management,
and
matters agriculture
exactly.
is global. It's not like our country.
Yeah, only. It's not only our country, but mostly we are looking at ways of helping our country to move from being in the list of the countries that are having issues or having facing issues concerning soil and lack of soil management or mismanagement of soil and lack of soil conservation. Yeah, and we also see that proper soil management is also highly dependent on such factors such as soil texture, topography, climate, previous crop and productivity. And controlling soil loss by minimizing wind and water erosion is an important goal and is usually put into practice by leaving crop residue on the soil surface and by limiting the disturbance of the surface soil to only that required for successful crop. And Stephanie, please, as I continue to do this, I think you are looking at the what? Is it the soil, the surface, the whatever, topsoil?
No, I'm researching on the components of good soil management.
Okay. But, so when I'm done with this, you just take us through that.
Because,
there have for decades been numerous and persistent calls to increase the amount of no-till or to convert conventional tillage to conservation tillage. Yeah, so that is that. And good soil management has always been recognized as an essential element of growing high yielding profitable crops. Yeah, and still I'm urging you that if we manage our soil properly, we'll get the highest yield, and we'll get the crops with highly nutrient content, and it won't be a bad idea, and it won't be a bad result for us. Yes, Stephanie.
Yeah, so I'm going to take you through the components of good soil management. And they are majorly three components. The physical soil, you have to make sure that the physical soil is healthy. And you can build organic matter through compost and cover crops, which provides nitrogen and other nutrients. We've spoken about nitrogen, its importance, and my viewers, you can expound on that for us in the comment section. You can ask us questions, we can answer. Water and air filtration, habitat for worms and bacteria that break down organic, and you can keep soil healthy by properly timing and scaled tillage, which helps organic matter break down, reduces soil compaction, exposes more soil for bacteria to break down, and increases good drainage. We're still on the physical soil. You should irrigate the right amount to maintain the moisture at 50 to 100% of field capacity by monitoring the soil and using water retention techniques like mulching. Yeah. Engage in crop rotation and soil amending and fertilizing as needed. Okay, when you're using the organic fertilizer. Okay, I keep on confusing between the chemical and the, is it called pathogenic?
Pathogenic.
Is
Oh, pathogenic.
Yeah, and the pathogenic is the organic.
I'm not sure about that. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I know
But
that.
we shall do our research on that and come back with facts in the next discussion. We shall remember and mention facts. Yeah, right. The next component is soil nutrient and pH. It should be able to maintain levels of nutrients, the soil. Test soil regularly and add compost or specific nutrients as recommended by soil experts. If plants are sick, get them tested. Uh, okay, we all know that if you as a farmer, you should be knowing when your plants are sick. For example, stunted growth in maize.
Sure.
Yeah, when there are worms all over your kales. Yeah. And maintain pH of between 6 to 0 and 7 to 0. I think my colleague expounded on that. Keep salt levels low. Salinization. that one will never fade.
And I think I'm getting addicted in the salinization.
Yeah, because it was interesting. The way I asked about it. So yeah.
Anyway, a confession. I also saw it somewhere, but since I didn't know what it meant, I was like, I'm gonna get back to you.
You set it aside
for
some other time to do research. Then the other component is pests and diseases. Maintain good nutrient levels and pH. This can help plants stay healthy and strong. Give plants enough space, enough air and soil for roots to grow and leaves to breathe. Avoid soil compaction and erosion for good soil moisture. Yeah, we should till the land like regularly.
Yeah.
And also, while tilling the land, we should avoid these things we are supposed to manage. Yeah, we should not overdo it. Yeah, those are the major components of soil management.
Yeah, so true, guys. Even after all the talks of soil management, the legal frameworks and the policies, the challenges, we can't forget to talk about the soil structure. And so soil structure simply refers to how the soil particles group together to form aggregates. And these aggregates vary in size, shape, from small crumbs through to large blocks. And some soils resemble a large, solid, featureless mass referred to as massive and have little or no structure. And for example, very sandy soils have no structure because sand grains do not cling together. Yeah, just like you said, if you take sand on your hand and squeeze it, it will be it will
has
it will be
granite.
it will be intact. It will be intact. But if you open your hand,
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
get your point. I
Yeah.
get your point now.
it will break. Yeah, unlike clay. Yeah, and we see good soils fit in between the two extremes. A well-structured soil breaks up easily into beds with a definite shape and size. Good structure is important, very, very important, as it allows water to soak into the soil and excess water to drain away. And I think that is also bringing us back to us talking about clay that does not allow water to really penetrate through properly. And we also have it also allows air it also allows air movement through the soil. And soil, air, and water are vital for healthy plant growth and nutrient supply. And as we continue, there are so many different types of soil structure. A blocky, we have columnar, we have massive, and a single grain, and e-platy. Yeah, so that is all. And we also have the soil beds. Beds are made up of mineral particles, clay, silt, sand, and organic matter. Beds are held together by the electrical charges on the surface of the minerals and organic matter. Yeah. So although clay particles are small, they have large surface areas. For example, the surface on the clay is in a teaspoon or a black cracking clay soil is equal to the surface area of a tennis court. Wow. Such clays are soils with a lot of organic matter. Such clays and soils with a lot of organic matter are more likely to form strong beds. Sandy soils or soils with little organic matter often have little or no bed development. Yeah, and I think while looking at clay, when you were young, we used to like model using clay.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really get to buy dolls. So instead of asking our parents for dolls, we could just make our own dollies.
With clay.
Yeah, with clay, and stay with it because it will not easily break unless it's dry. That is when it starts to crack. Yeah, and from there you could see how clay was also very important. And under soil property, we have soil texture. You should not forget about that. Soil structure, soil color, soil pH. We have soil carbon, soil water, soil fertility, and soil sodicity. Yeah, all those are very important in soil. And a little about soil fertility. To be healthy, plants need a steady supply of nutrients from the soil, and required in relatively large quantities are macronutrients, which is nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, and magnesium, and sulfur. Other nutrients are required in small quantities like zinc, copper, iron, and manganese, boron, molybdenum. And a shortage or absence of any of these essential nutrients can severely affect plant growth. And too much of the minerals that we require in small quantity can be very dangerous, and too little of the major minerals that we require in large quantity can also affect our crops. So we need them in the exact way that the correct way. And that is why we say that our farmers need to be informed and be aware of the kind of minerals, the nutrients, or maybe the fertilizers, or that they need to put in their soil, or maybe on their farm, to not lead to leaching of plants, such, or destroy the soil structure. And contributing factors, the availability of nutrients is affected by the pH of the soil. Yeah, and for example, in very acid soils, manganese and aluminium may be present in toxic concentrations. And the nutrient status of a soil can be determined by a laboratory analysis. Do you have anything else to add?
Okay. I heard something here about soil management practices.
Okay, sorry. Before you talk
It's okay,
about soil
yeah.
management, let me just wind up on the amount of nutrients on the management, and we have the amount of nutrients available in soil depends on interactions between soil properties, soil biology, soil organic matter, soil water, and fertilizers. And under soil property, pH, texture, and different clay minerals can have an influence on soil fertility that we talked about. And soil biology, organisms living in the soil break down animal and plant matter into nutrients forms that can be used by plants. And that is why we're talking about the soil being the habitat, and from being the habitat, when the microorganisms die, they decompose to give out the nutrients. Yeah. Then we have soil organic matter, important for holding nutrients until they can be taken up by plants. Yeah, and we also have water in soil pores carries the nutrients to plant roots. That is soil water. Where we have water in soil pores carries the nutrients in to plant roots. Fertilizers and excess of a particular nutrient can impede the uptake of others. Thank you, guys, and that is
Wow.
all about the amounts of nutrients available in soil depending on interactions between the soil water, soil fertility, and soil property, guys. Sorry, soil biology and fertilizers. Passing it back to Stephanie to just wind up on whatever is remaining.
Okay, our time is up,
Yeah, I know.
sadly.
Yeah.
But if you want to know more about soil management, you have heard my colleague. She has the facts. Yeah, thank you so much for giving us all those facts, all those
Thank you too.
information. Yeah, and right now we thank you, our viewer, for being with us up until now. And don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms. We are on Facebook as a Farmers Media. We are on Instagram as a Farmers Media, on Twitter as a Farmers Media, and on YouTube as a Farmers Media. Also, don't forget to check out our website. It's www.africafarmers.org. Thank you so much, and see you tomorrow.
Have a blessed evening. My name is Doshina Kenya, and I was also your host this evening. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a lovely evening.
Have you felt that the climate has been changing? Perhaps the dry season seems hotter. The rains are too late, or too early, too little, or don't come at all.
You're seeing more pests and diseases on your shamba. All of this can lead to less yields.
By managing your water and soil, you can ensure that your shamba is still productive. This could be as simple as harvesting water from your roofs, investing in solar irrigation, and practicing conservation agriculture such as mulching, crop rotation, and minimum tillage.
Trees are also a part of smart farming and can help you make your farm cooler, keep your soils intact and healthy. Planting fodder crops and turning grasses into hay or silage is another smart way of adapting.
But be aware that even with smart farming, some things will remain out of your control. That's why it's a good idea to think about insurance, as this can cover you from these unforeseen events.
Good soil and water management, along with planting trees and pest and disease control, can also help you increase your yields and income as the climate changes. The heart of any shamba lies in its soil. Because soil is so precious, it needs to be managed really carefully. A good place to start is with a soil test. This will tell you how healthy your soil is, its pH levels, what type of soil it is, which crops you can grow in your soil, and advice on which fertilizer is best to use. If you follow the soil test recommendations, it can boost your yields. So, how do you take a soil test sample? Firstly, dig up soil samples. Use a soil auger or panga to take a sample 1 feet deep in a zigzag pattern across your shamba. You will need at least 10 samples. Mix all the different samples together in a bucket. The soil is now ready to be scanned and tested. You can find out about how to get your soil tested by contacting your extension officer. Alternatively, contact a Ministry of Agriculture research station near you. A soil test costs about as much as 1 bag of maize. You should do a soil test at least every 3 to 5 years. Conservation agriculture is a way of farming that keeps nutrients and moisture in your soil. It's also a good way of controlling pests and diseases. The 3 main principles are minimum tillage, mulching, and crop rotation. With minimum tillage, you only disturb the soil where you will be planting. You can do this with a reaper or using a djembe. The second principle is called mulching. This means that you cover your soil with leftover residues such as leaves or maize stovers. This protects your soil from the hot sun while holding moisture in the ground. The mulch material will break down and add nutrients to your soil. Crop rotation is the third principle. You shouldn't plant the same crop on the same piece of land year after year. Instead, rotate between different crop families each season. If you follow these simple principles, you can be certain of healthier soil and higher yields in the long run.